he talks about his hater mixtape, where he said, I take all the comments from my haters and I just put them into a mixtape and I listen to it on repeat and it motivates me.
Y'all, get your pussyfoot and lollygag and fiddle fart and meat magoo distracted asses in HYPRfocus. Now, let's go conquer some goals.
For my very first podcast, I could do a few things. Number one, I could wait until everything's perfect and upload it. And if there's anything I've learned, it's that done is better than perfect. So I'm not going to do that. We're just going to get it done. Second thing I could do is I could tell you my whole life story. And I'll probably tell you that at some point. But to be quite fair, you probably don't give a crap who I am or where I come from or what I've been through. You might just want to know what I like now. Where am I going? So in this episode, I'm going to talk about 10 things I am all about, and we'll dive right into it. Number one, self-optimization. I am a hardcore enthusiast about self-optimization and self-improvement. I frequently go to conferences and seminars with my partner Paul, and we thoroughly enjoy that. So we've got a few on our list this year. We went to some last year. One of the ones that sparked everything for me and the reason why this HYPRfocus exists is Summit of Greatness. So Summit of Greatness was Lewis Howes' event. He has it every year, normally in Columbus, Ohio. This coming year, it's going to be in City of Angels. We had an amazing time at that last year, so we'll be going to that again this year. And then we are also going to Peak Partnership, which David Goggins will be there, and I freaking love David Goggins. You either hate him or you love him, and I'm on the love him end of the spectrum. So I'm going to go see David Goggins, Jim Quick, and we've got a few more that we're going to this year as well. I'll link some of them in the resources page. Number 2 is real estate and passive income. I currently am the director of operations for a company called Rehab Wallet, and we lend money short term to real estate investors, primarily to those that are flipping houses. In addition to that, because I'm into real estate, I'm also slowly trying to grow my passive income. I basically take my pool of money, I go invest it somewhere, and then people send me money on a monthly basis for that money that I let them use. So it's a great way to make passive income. A lot of people think passive income is just getting a rental property and getting that cash flow, but you could do it that way. That's just not necessarily my desired way of doing it. So I'm in the private lending realm, the syndication and passive investing realm, and eventually I'll dabble into some more stuff. Number 3, hula hooping. I had my fair share of fun times when I was in college. And one of the things that I did on a regular basis is I would go to festivals. I loved live music. I don't go see live music at all now, but at that point in my life, I did love live music. So I would go to festivals with friends, and I once saw a few girls hula hooping, and it was the coolest thing. I asked a friend who had one, hey, can I borrow that and just play with it? And she graciously allowed me to, knowing what I know now. Most hula hoopers are like, no, don't touch my hoops. But she let me. So thank you, Michael, for letting me borrow a hoop. I played with it. I eventually bought my own, and now I do it on occasion during the summertime when it's actually pretty outside and it's not freezing. I live in Charleston, South Carolina, so currently it's pretty dang cold here. And I just love it. It puts me in this meditative state. I feel like there's nothing around me when I'm hula hooping. Number 4 is drawing. I used to win like silly awards when I was little. I think our newspaper had a competition for people drawing. And if anybody remembers the book, The Giving Tree, I think I replicated the Giving Tree cover page and won a little award for that with the newspaper, which is pretty cool. When I got into college, I took digital production arts as my minor. I wanted to be the person that rigged and modeled characters in, like, imagine a Pixar movie. Basically, somebody has to model that character in that movie, and then somebody has to rig it to make it move. And that's what I wanted to do. So I took digital production arts as my minor, and in doing that, I had to draw the human form over and over and over and over again. Number 5, numero 5, is computer science, computer software, and automation. When I went to school and took digital production arts for my minor, my major was computer science. I originally started in civil engineering. I absolutely hated it. It was one of those situations where my mom said, "You should be an engineer because they make a lot of money." I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't know what I wanted to do. Nobody ever does. So I said, "Sure, Mom, let me apply to Clemson University and try for civil engineering." And I did. And I got in. So I pursued civil engineering for a little while. I hated it. I hated it so much. And eventually I took a computer engineering class. I switched, went to computer science, absolutely loved it. And then I started coding web apps after college for a big company in Greenville, South Carolina. And I thoroughly enjoyed that job before I switched over to real estate. So now that I'm a director of operations at Rehab Wallet, I use a lot of my knowledge with software automation to help grow our business. Hopefully can take us to $1 billion company in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years. Number 6, reading, specifically nonfiction. I love self-development books. Obviously, I'm into self-optimization and self-improvement, so nonfiction is my jam. I love David Goggins. I mentioned that before. A few of my favorite things about David Goggins is he talks about his hater mixtape, where he said, "I take all the comments from my haters and I just put them into a mixtape and I listen to it on repeat and it motivates me." I cracked up when I heard him say that. I love how he just twists things into what he wants it to be. And he's super hardcore. I love that too, because I'm not as much of a hardcore person, but I enjoy the passion that somebody emanates when they are super hardcore. Other books that we're reading right now is Not Nice. That has been a game changer for me. So Not Nice is basically, the point is, people are nice not because they care and they love humanity and they want to be good to their neighbors and their friends and their family, but they're nice because they're afraid of what will occur if they aren't. They're nice out of fear instead of love. They're always trying to people please, and they're judging themselves all the time, and they're seeking approval from other people. And that is something that I've struggled with a lot in my life. So if you're struggling with that too, highly recommend Not Nice. It's probably going to be one of my favorite books of all time. The 2-Hour Cocktail Party. We are very much into hosting events. Paul and I are. So we read that book, The 2-Hour Cocktail Party by Nick Gray, and that one is basically like an instruction manual for how to host an event, or in his case, a 2-hour cocktail party. But it's very interesting if you're into hosting events at your home or otherwise. I would recommend reading that book. Number 7 is public speaking. This past year, I had my first paid public speech. It was amazing. It was for work, And that's great. I was able to talk about something in front of people that I was super familiar with. I felt good about teaching and I enjoyed it so much that I was like, that's what I want to do. So I started telling people, hey, I want to get in front of more rooms. If an opportunity presented itself, I took it. We started hosting our own events. I started hosting a women's real estate event. I am just practicing getting in front of rooms, talking to people, giving speeches. I'm currently in an executive coaching program for public speaking and communication. It's called Communication Accelerator. Another thing I'm doing is Toastmasters. If you aren't familiar with Toastmasters, it's an international group, so you can find one no matter where you are. You can probably find a local Toastmasters group near you, but it's a very welcoming community. You go in, you give a public speech, they critique you in a very nice way, and you don't have to feel uncomfortable because everyone there is wanting to learn how to be a public speaker and communicate effectively. One of my goals is to do more public speaking, maybe eventually get paid more, more than what I did to speak regularly at events. Number 8 is tiny houses. So Paul and I are super fascinated by little tiny houses, specifically tiny houses on wheels. We're interested in vans that you can upfit and become more of like a digital nomad where you work and you just travel as you work in the van. Tiny houses and upfitted vans, we think they're super cool. And as engineers, he's an engineer, and as a computer scientist, it's actually fun to see like how they organize it and how they structure it to make everything work together in such a small space. Ultimately, we would like to build a tiny house on wheels community for self optimizers. He's got a much longer name for it than that. We'll have to bring him on. He'll have to talk about his intentional living community for self optimizers. Number 9, improv. Improv, I'm super passionate about. I love improv so much and it changed me so much. I would recommend it to anybody. Improv, like think of Whose Line Is It Anyway? Somebody gives you a prompt and you got to make it entertaining. You got to make people laugh and you don't know what's coming at you when they give you that prompt. It could be chocolate noodles and you have to make a scene about chocolate noodles and you don't even know what the heck chocolate noodles are and you don't know what they meant by that, but you got to make something up and go with it. The salient point in improv is yes and, so it teaches you to just go with the flow, actively listen to your partner or whoever you're speaking to, and instead of being up here thinking about what you're going to say, you're actually listening and coming up with a response. Improv is an amazing resource, not only for public speaking, which you already know I'm passionate about, but I think it's important for learning about yourself in general. As you go into it and you start to practice, you'll learn a lot about yourself that you didn't know before. So improv is definitely a big one for me. I took classes at Theater 99 in Charleston. Josh Christian was my coach for level 1, and it was amazing. Highly recommend for anybody who is in the Charleston area, or if you're not, please go find a local improv theater and see if they have classes for you to take. It will change your life. Number 10, the final one, is building community. I mentioned earlier, we would like to build a community of tiny houses on wheels and self-optimizers within that community, but just communities in general. This is a community. HYPRfocus is a community. I want to be around people who are more like me, who are like-minded, who want to grow, who want to improve themselves and be the best version of themselves that they can be. And in order to do that, you can do one of two things. You can go out in the world and you can say, hey, I'm Harris. Do you like me? And you might find a few little handful of people. I think out of all the people we've met in Charleston, maybe like 10 people, of all the people in Charleston, the people I really resonate with, it might be a handful. So the alternative to going around and finding them is to put up a beacon. You just like shine this light in the sky and you're like, yo, Batman, I need you. Or, yo, I'm Harris. This is who I am. If you like it, come join me and let's build a community together. So that's what HYPRfocus is for me. And I'm looking to do that in every aspect of my life. Deep talk, tiny houses on wheels, self-optimizers. I'm starting a nonfiction book club here soon, so I'll be able to resonate with those people, shine out a light and draw them in. If you haven't, I would highly recommend an app called meetup.com. That's where we host a lot of our events, but you can create a group on there and you can be an organizer of groups, and then you can create events for those groups, and anybody in your local area can see those groups. You can meet new people that way and grow your community like I'm growing mine. So those are the 10 things that I am all about, and I really appreciate you watching, and I hope you stick around for the next one. Looking forward to it. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If a portion of this episode resonated with you, I'd love to know. Drop by the website at HYPRfocus.com and leave a comment or subscribe to get updates on future episodes. Remember to be intentional with your time today. Say yes to things that serve your purpose and no to things that don't. HYPRfocus, y'all. See you in the next one.